out with friends, and then out of nowhere, I would just get sad to go. Maybe you're sitting there and you're like, what is my purpose? You know, that is what these conversations are for, and that is what they're supposed to do for you. I pray and I beg of you to start, because you don't have to do this life alone, and life is worth living.
It's such a shame. The world is so busy. However, it's time for Focused Conversations.
Hi, and welcome back to another solo episode of Focused Conversations. I'm your host, Victoria Ruth. Focused Conversations is a podcast where I bring people on to talk about their blueprints on how they've triumphed through life's toughest moments, where maybe they were in a mental rut, maybe there was just like a huge life change that they were experiencing, and how did they navigate through that? And for you, the viewers and the listeners, I want you to take away from that how to get up out of the bed when life is kicking you down, or you just don't know what to do, you don't know where to go. Maybe you're sitting there and you're like, what is my purpose, you know? That is what these conversations are for, and that is what they're supposed to do for you. So let's jump into this solo episode. Today, we're kind of having a reaction commentary video to Marina's life after suicide. So as you know now, Marina experienced having a partner who later committed suicide. And before I jump into this episode, I would like to encourage anyone, if you are experiencing any kind of thoughts about self-harm or anything like that, please reach out to the suicide hotline. And if that isn't something that you're willing to do, please reach out to the nearest person that you know, because you do not have to do this life alone, and there is somebody that cares about you. Even when in your head you're thinking that there isn't, even when you might even feel that way, even when maybe there is somebody or something trying to tear you down in your spirit and you are starting to believe it, please understand and know that you are loved, and do not make any kind of permanent decision for a temporary moment. So let's jump into it. Let's jump into my facing with suicidal moments. You might have heard me in the last solo episode where I was talking about dealing with grieving through the death of my first love. And that was not actually my first time being suicidal. As a young child, I actually dealt with thoughts of suicide. I don't think I really registered it as that. However, I had a tumultuous childhood where, just family things like, and I'm not going to fully get into it right now, but just a lot of family issues, a lot of family ups and downs. And I didn't want to be here, if I'm honest. I remember writing in my journal as a little kid that I wished God would make me one of his angels. I remember I used to hate all of my birthdays, really, because I did not enjoy celebrating being alive. It's making me a little emotional to think about the little me in that way. But I just had a very heavy heart. I didn't realize until I was older that I was dealing with a lot of depression. What did that look like for me? It would be hanging out with friends, and then out of nowhere, I would just get sad, and I would need to go home. And I would go home because I never liked being the Debbie Downer. I never liked being the person that just made everything else feel like icky. So I would just go home, but I would just be sad. It would just come over me like a cloud, like a weighted blanket, and I would just have to wear it. But I never believed, well, it's not that I don't believe in suicide, but I believe in God. So I choose to take the route of living until he calls me home versus, like I said, making a permanent decision for temporary moments. I've had a lot of temporary moments in my life that have made me extremely sad. I remember even there was one time I was a kid and I went and grabbed a knife. Everybody was asleep in the house. And I got up out of the bed and I went down to the kitchen and I grabbed a knife and I held it to my wrist and I contemplated slicing it. What stopped me, I think I was scared. I think I was just scared. And like I said, I believed in God, and so I just didn't want to do that. But fast forward, I dealt with that when a huge remembrance of abandonment showed its face with my first love being murdered. And then honestly, I dealt with it not that long ago this year, 2024. I turned 30 this year, and it just did not look like what I imagined. It did not look like me having to leave my beautiful 17-foot floor-to-ceiling window apartment in Buckhead and having to start all over and being laid off in January of this year. It just did not look like that to me. I was working at an alteration shop to just kind of make some ends meet while I was building out my teaching program. And I just remember one day I was sitting at work and I just could not stop crying. I was just crying and crying and crying, like bawling my eyes out. And I went on my lunch break and I opened up a journal and I wrote a note to the guy I was dating, to my care bear who helps me a lot with a lot of things in my life, and to my little sister and my dad and just other family members. And I wrote this one. I wrote it all the way out, and I turned off the location settings on my phone. I was really down and out. But the irony is that what stopped me was that I gained clarity from God that I was supposed to be doing this. This is my purpose, and this is my passion. And I just want to be able to share my story and bring other people on to share their stories so that you don't feel so alone. So if you're hearing this and you've gone through something that has just rocked your world to where you feel like you need to make a permanent decision, please hold on. Please. I just ask that you take a moment to pray. I went on a fast. And I just asked God to show me what I was supposed to be doing because life was getting too heavy for me. And it's been heavy a lot, but I realized is that I needed to be operating in purpose, is that I needed to be operating in what God told me to be doing. And when I tell you I have so much joy, and I'm just starting. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've recorded some episodes like years ago, but like to be putting it out and to receive the feedback that I've been receiving, like it is such a beautiful thing for me. And I just want to encourage anybody that is dealing with bouts of feeling suicidal to know that there is more out there. And honestly, too, as Black people, we are vitamin D3 deficient. And you need that. That plays a big role in depression as well. Getting enough sunlight, working out, moving your body, that is a big deal for me. At that time, during those times, I probably wasn't working out, wasn't moving. How you eat, sleeping, who you are around. Are you around people that are pouring into you? Or are you around people that just want to talk about people all the time and be negative and not see any bright side to anything? What are you around? What are you digesting? Are you watching fighting videos all the time or people screaming all the time on the internet? Like, what are you digesting? What are you putting into your spirit? Right now, I just pray that you get convicted of anything that is not bringing you joy and increasing your endorphins and your serotonin levels, because there is so much out here to consume. But what you need to be consuming is that of God. And you need to be consuming things that are going to bring life into you. You need to be eating things that are going to be bringing life into you. And so I just pray that for anybody that might be dealing with suicidal thoughts, that you find community, and that you take a second to ask God what He has for you. Ask what your next steps are. What I want you to really do when you go to bed tonight, I want you to close your eyes and I want you to sit in silence and I want you to say to yourself, what does the best version of my life look like? And then just allow the first thing that pops into your head to come to you, whatever that is. It might be something that's sparked from childhood. It might be some new venture. Maybe you want to go bungee jumping. I don't know. Maybe there's just some thrill-seeking thing you want to do. Whatever that looks like, I just encourage you to dig into that. And don't ask the questions of, oh, I can't do this, or how can I ever do this? I don't have this, I don't have that. Stop that. What you need to start asking is, What does it look like for me to fulfill this? When you wake up in the morning, you then need to ask God, okay, God, move me in the direction of fulfilling what you put on my heart last night. That is what I want you to start doing. But my basic blueprint for suicidal thoughts is to find community. I really want to encourage you to journal. I want you to have a safe space where you get your thoughts out. Maybe you don't journal. When I can't journal, I have the voice memo thing on my phone and I just start talking to it, because sometimes people aren't readily available to talk to, and that can also make you feel alone, right? So I just get all my thoughts out on my phone. We have all these electronic devices. Why don't we use them for a good purpose? Journal, get on the phone, record, maybe make a video of yourself talking. But most importantly, follow that spark that's in your heart. Talk to God, get godly community, get faith-driven people around you, and delete, erase, and discard of anybody and anything that is not speaking life into you and that is not encouraging you to be the best version of yourself in all ways possible. So with that, like I said, if you're dealing with that or you know somebody, please reach out to the suicide hotline. Go chase your purpose. Go chase the things that make you happy. It can look like anything. It can literally look like anything. And maybe you just like to read books. Maybe you like going to the movies. Maybe you like long walks at the beach or at the park. Who knows? But whatever it is, I pray and I beg of you to start, because you don't have to do this life alone, and life is worth living. Until next time.